Chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. The Slaggy chess stream is underway for Monday. It's the 24th of July, 2017. We've got 5 challenges, or 6. And we're just discussing different kind of alcoholic beverages to start things off. My Hungarian friends here in the stream and I were just agreeing that we don't necessarily like the traditional Hungarian drinks like palinka, but one of our players, Obadubba, drank too much unicum, which is a Hungarian drink sort of similar to Jägermeister, before the simul game. That's his excuse for losing a piece in Sunday's simul game. I don't know. I mean, actually, when I was drinking a lot, I don't think my rating was really any lower because of it, so maybe I should go back to drinking a lot. I don't know. Better results when I was drinking more. But you didn't hear it here. Troll on a Roll, he's from Russia. He agrees with the vodka. Troll on a Roll suggested that I do, we got a Diablo commercial. Troll on a Roll suggested that I do Chess 960 Arena, but I don't think there is a Chess 960 Arena. I might add like a separate stream every week just for subscribers. Also, we should do like a tournament stream once in a while. But everybody's here to play Blitz and Classical Chess. I already have like 10 challengers, so let's get it started with Keith Erdekel. He also may be from Hungary, as I assumed, but he doesn't drink unicum before his games. I don't know. Soltigo, congratulations again on your win. Your first win against me, is that possible? Are you familiar with John Bartholomew? I don't know him very well. Honestly, John started to become a strong player about the time that I left the United States. You know, and I never really crossed paths with him. You know, I think that like in one tournament in 2006, I may have played, you know, near one of his boards, but I don't really know him. Seems like a decent guy from what I've seen. Yeah, who cares? We have another friend here. What's his name? I have another friend, but I can't remember it now, who has a Hungarian name on lichess. I'm a little bit confused. Losing my mind due to old age. Soltigo, it was an interesting game. I had a win, but it was very hard to see it. It was like a kind of long tactical sequence ending in checkmate. Trapping your queen, the threat of trapping your queen and setting up checkmates, but it was hard to find it. Keith Erdekel played queen d2 here. It's a logical move, but not the right move. You're actually supposed to play either bishop g5, which I lost a game against like a week ago, or bishop b5, which is the Karaklaj. And that's kind of the main line. But again, bishop g5 is what I played too. I won a game against Alexei Yermolinsky with that. We had a brilliancy against him years ago. Anyway, so bishop g5 or bishop b5 in that position. This way he's giving up the 2 bishops without really quite enough justification. That dark squared bishop in particular is usually the better of the 2. So I think that objectively, Keith Erdekel, you know, he's preserving his pawn structure, but this piece is a very strong piece long term. Right now, it's not doing a whole lot. So I think a lot of beginning players say to themselves, oh, well, you know, that it's a bad bishop anyway. But if you think about it, he has kind of a lot of dark squares that are important. There are a lot of important dark squares in this position, so welcome everybody. We're getting started really quickly. Brundle Phil, you're a subscriber. You're welcome to play. I'm gonna take subscribers first, and then everybody else. Maybe Phil's in the list. I didn't take him first, but I wasn't really thinking when I started the stream. We've got 1 million challenges for a Monday. Mule Skinner says, can anyone explain why the subscription is about? What this subscription is about? It's a subscription to my channel. It supports the channel. As we get more subscribers, I'll create more features for subscribers. It's just basically a way to support the channel, support the stream. Where are we here? Meoweezy, Meoweezy. We've got a lot of challenges, you guys. Soltigo, got my recommendations when the sun starts shining. I'll be subscribing. What does that mean? Let's get some subscriptions today. What does that mean, Soltigo, when the sun starts shining? It's very bad weather here, man. I hope you're not... Well, I know you're not that far away from where I am at, so that might not be a good sign. Alright. So, Key Derdikel here. He's got some space, but again, I think the Dark Square Bishop, it's not a good idea to give that up. Dr. Mater says, do you speak Russian? Говорю по-русски. Очень хорошо. But actually, I did really study Russian in university for like 4 semesters. I mistakenly chose it as my language for college language requirement, and I almost didn't finish college because of Russian, because I wasn't really a faithful language student. So I made a big mistake not choosing something I already knew a little bit about, like Spanish, and subsequently made it very difficult for myself. I had a very forgiving Russian professor my last semester, and she let me pass even though I didn't really deserve it. Troll and Roll hates somebody for no particular reason. I don't know, man. Alright, so we got lots of challenges here. Slow Adventurer, Mule Skinner, Lord Jesus Christ, Troll and Roll, Furia Nahuha, I think... No, we haven't played them. Soltigo. Bob, I'll play next because he's a subscriber. Subscribers get first pick. Then we've got a new opponent, NH9. And then Meoweezy, whose rating just keeps going up and up. And he's changed countries from Sweden to Russia recently. Ayeste, who's a regular. He's played about 30 games with us. Soltigo says, I highly recommend subbing to this channel. King H1. I highly recommend it too. We've only been doing subs for like 2 weeks, and I have to develop some incentives for you guys to subscribe. Alright, King H1. But, you know, if you like the stream already, if you want to support the stream, feel free to subscribe. King H1 is a useful move. Okay, Black's bishop pair is better for Black. It's a good defender too. But I guess objectively, I don't have a big advantage. It's kind of like the potential to gain an advantage in the endgame. This bishop pair could be very strong in the endgame. But still, there's a long way to go before that. I'm actually thinking about King H8 myself. Let's just trade some pieces here. I was a little bit, I don't know, not really wanting to fix his pawns here, but kind of not the biggest problem in the world. I think that White's got more weaknesses, and my bishops are actually looking pretty good here. Long term for the endgame, his center pawns can actually, or central pawns, can actually make good targets. So we'll just keep it simple. Keeping it simple. Queen A5 or Queen B6, Queen B8, Queen B6. Keeping pressure on this guy or girl. Thanks for subbing, Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner has been an absolutely awesome supporter of the stream. Not only like supporting us with donations and now subscribing, but he's also participated. He's played so many games, like 100 games or close to it, it seems like. So Mule Skinner, thank you for subscribing and just being like a regular part of this this channel or stream, if you prefer to call it that. F4. And Key Derdikel, I think, you know, he's kind of got the right idea, but there's a limited amount of pieces left on the board, so I'm thinking that the more he extends himself, like ultimately, the more weaknesses he might have. I don't know if I should trade the last set of rooks, but he's got control of the open file. I feel like Black's just a little better. I mean, this pawn is a weakness. These pawns can all be attacked. I have a very compact position with basically no weaknesses here, so if anybody's better, it's got to be me. I can constantly attack this pawn, this pawn, this pawn, with the two bishops looking both ways. White may not be lost, but he has a kind of overextended looking position. Clash Kid, another subscriber. Welcome, man. He changed his country to Russia, which made his rating go up 100 points automatically. I did notice that, Troll in a Roll. I did notice that. Maybe he's on the border between Sweden and Russia. Dun dun dun. No, that doesn't exist, does it? Well, maybe somewhere in the Arctic, right? You guys have a border in the Arctic. He's on the Arctic border. Queen C3. You know, Troll might be close if you're on the Arctic border. I don't know, man. Troll, you used to say you were from... you actually used to say you were like in... Where was it? Tibet or something? And then you changed back to Russia? Or you still have it somewhere. You still have this setting somewhere weird. You never did change it, did you? Alright. Centralizing the king for the endgame. I was tempted to play g6. That's like a good way to like self-mate yourself with d5 here. I wouldn't mind trading queens, to be honest, at this point. It's a tropical thunder. There's no border. There's got to be a border. Trump's going to build a wall there between Sweden and Russia. Okay, bishop c2. Queen takes c3. B takes c3. Now, that changes the structure. It does make his pawn island bigger. This is an Isolani. Wonder, how do I feel about this changing pawn structure? That actually kind of strengthens his, does seem like it strengthens his, what do you call that, central pawn on d4. Two bishops going to work their magic here. I will say that Keith Erdekel plays very fast. We've got a review about a movie, Dunkirk. We've got everything. Movie reviews, discussions about what's the best alcohol to drink. I prefer vodka nowadays. It's funny, I didn't used to like vodka. The first time I ever drank too much vodka was in Russia. Troll will be amused to hear that. We mixed vodka with Tang. This is not a good idea. Really disgusting. You somehow like white here. Mule Skinner, you would like white here, wouldn't you? Here's an important lesson, guys. Do not trade your bishop pair when you have the bishop pair. Where to put it now? Maybe on a4. It's staying pretty active there, but I am a little concerned about knight b3. Actually, no. Knight b3 he's going to play anyway. Bishop c6, c4. Yeah, let's just hang out here, kind of probing. I don't think I can like white here. The bishops are just too good. White has to play against the bishop pair. I would cry as white. It's a little bit worse for white, but his space is so much here that it might be not that bad. I'm not going to give him too much advice. Wow, g4 he just goes full on overextension. Alright, let's see what we can do against this pawn. These overextended pawns. Actually, I really need to bring my king into the center too. I want my king to be able to walk over here, maybe. Potentially to the other side. This is kind of hard. Patrol in a Roll says, your stream isn't showing on the lichess main page. I did not put in .com. You're a good call, man. Damn, and I have all these challenges. They're just regulars. It's .net. .org. Man, thank you for that reminder. Okay, now I'm really pissed off. I have to log out and log back in to change the edit. So irritating. To actually log out and log back in to edit my Twitch. I hope you guys can still hear me. Yep. Alright. What happened? Oh, okay. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Get these bishops working? Get these bishops working. Okay, bishops. I said bishops. Let's log in. Please. Please log in. I think I just failed. I want to fix those pawns. Maybe I can fix that h3 pawn, or the h3 pawn on h3. That's where we're going to fix it. I want to put my pawns on dark squares where he can't really attack me. That looks right. I don't want to trade pieces. That's very important. All right, we fixed the lichess stream title. We fixed the lichess stream title. We've got less time here. All right. So f5 is interesting. He's pinned here temporarily. I could play what? Bishop c3. He's got so much space, it's like ridiculous. Okay, where do we want to go? Yeah, I was thinking about this actually. Oh my, damn, dude. My bishop is trapped if I do that. That's so sick. I almost played... Oh no, the pre-move. Keith Erdekel did the pre-move. I can't believe it. I almost lost a piece with bishop b6, but he pre-moved knight c3. Keith Erdekel, what's really going on here? He's got so much space, he's okay. The computer agrees. It's actually... It's a tiny bit better for black, but I think this should be a draw. You know, that's the way I feel about it. This is actually a good move. Probably e5, believe it or not. I was uncomfortable with the threat of f6. And actually, maybe he can play like f6 check, and if my king ever walks away, he'll have some like bishop g6 sort of thing to bother me. So he has so much space that it should have been a draw. But he pre-moved knight c3, thinking that I was going to go bishop b6. I was like teasing him with this move. And he was like, oh, yes, I want a piece. No. I was just pretending. Actually, I saw it at the last moment. Keith Erdekel, dude, that was rough. You shouldn't have lost. All right, now Bob is up next. I'm going to play the people who are subscribers. Bob, Yule Skinner. Somebody else subscribed, and then they left. Oh, Clash Kid was here and then left. All right, getting into the Beatles. It's a little bit late for that, Soltigo, but it's cool. All right. Bob, what are we going to play with white? Knight f3. Started off a little bit slow. If you guys want to play Chess 960, I'll also play a couple of games of Chess 960. Usually Troll on a Roll will challenge me. He's somewhere there on the list. He's not a subscriber, but he's very helpful. He's been on good behavior lately too. Not his usual troublesome self. You recently started playing Go. It's very complex, more complex than chess. I never even tried playing Go, but I have heard that. Alright, so Bob played knight c6. This is an interesting way to play. I like it for black. I don't play it myself, but I think that it's valid. You're basically forcing me to play g3 against the Chigorin. And one thing I realized lately, because I used to play against the Chigorin many times in classical d4, d5, c4, knight c6 type positions. Also, sometimes I would play d4, d5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop f4. But one thing I've come to realize that this is actually a very legitimate system if you face the Chigorin. I think just playing g3 is actually a simple, a safe, and good way to deal with Chigorin. Okay, bishop f5. It's basically, I don't know what they call it. It's basically like white's playing this King's Indian type of setup. The Barry attack, like Mark Hebden calls it. E6, this is a good, solid move. Another option for black is to play bishop g4. I don't know which is better, bishop f5 or bishop g4. What we're basically looking at here is a reversed, yeah, one of those reversed Barry attack type things against the King's Indian or Grunfeld. Richard. Oh, man. All right. Need a massage. What's up? Knight f6, c4. I'm always going to play c4. You can just... If you don't play c4, I don't think you got anything in this type of opening. And it's not really like a sacrifice. It's basically a kind of Catalan type of setup. We're planning on getting that pawn back. It's not a long-term sacrifice. The previous game was perfect play by both parts according to Engine, besides from that last pre-move blunder. The thing is, okay, yeah, I mean, the only thing that I'm critical of is like, you know, his decision to give me the dark-squared bishop basically gives me equality. But Keith Erdekel proves something interesting, that it's not like black is just winning, okay? I mean, first of all, he played intelligently. Like, I think the first intelligent thing that Keith Erdekel did was castling kingside, okay? After giving me the dark-squared bishop, people tend to play that kind of thing without knowing the theory. They'll give me the dark-squared bishop, and then they'll go into a sharp position by castling opposite sides. Where black has the bishop pair, that's probably not a good idea. So by castling kingside, I think Keith Erdekel kept it kind of like pretty like safe and balanced. And then later when we reached the endgame, he just started grabbing space, which was a little dangerous, but in the end, objectively probably wouldn't be enough for me to win. So space counters that bishop pair. Now bishop d6, good developing move by Bob Butt. Catalan ideas. Can we get the old like knight e5 kind of pin thing going on here, and how effective is it really? Knight e5, if he takes, he can just like take with the bishop, play an inner position like knight to d5. That seems better for white. Knight e5, he'll just castle. I could also just simply take on c4, which looks kind of boring, but perfectly playable for white. So the real question is knight e5, how strong is it really? Like when you say black just like castles or something. Maybe at the end of the day I'll win a pawn. You know, I'm going to like take on c6, then take with the queen, and then try to win the pawn on c4. I'm a little nervous about some variations here, like knight e5, castles, knight takes c6, b takes c6, queen takes c6, rook b8, queen takes c4, rook b4 with very active pieces for black. So there's something that, you know, you have to realize this piece is actually not a great piece. It gets in the way of the pawn on c7. I think it's kind of badly placed, other than the fact that it controls some central squares. It gets in the way. And sometimes trading it off is like the worst thing white can do. Knight e5 is also not a developing move for me. So it's kind of a tough call here. Knight e5, it looks kind of greedy. He's gonna like lose a pawn but get really active. Let's see, knight e5, castles, knight takes e5, takes, queen takes, rook b8, queen takes e4, and then like rook b4, queen a6. If we keep calculating further, rook takes d4, queen takes a7, we can calculate quite far in this position. And I think that black's better developed. I'm up a pawn. Let's try it, man. I mean, it's interesting. But I'm really not convinced that this is necessarily my best move. You know, maybe it would be better to just play like queen takes c4, or even another move like a developing move, knight a3, with the idea of taking on c4, bishop g5, So this is not obvious to me that I did the right thing here. It feels like I'm losing time. This is a typical Catalan motif. You just realized what? It says simul for 25 players at the bottom. Where does it say that? Simul for 25 players at the bottom. Oh, is there some kind of event? Why does it say that? July 23rd. That's just like an event where you were reading and you thought that's what it says for today. Where are you reading that? I had put an event for the 23rd, which was yesterday. Bottom of the Twitch video. Yeah, I probably need to get rid of that somehow. Oh. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, guys. In my text. Yep. I didn't understand what you guys were talking about. I thought you were talking about the event. Totally got me confused. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, the text. For some reason, the text is not working. Why is it not working? Text work. It's not working. Why is it not working, my text? Uh-oh. Alright, I don't know why the text is not working, but it's alright. I'll worry about that later. We had a minor problem there. It's okay. You guys know what the score is. We've got 14 challenges. It's kind of crazy. I actually didn't analyze this enough. Oh man, I don't know what's going on now. He's going to take that pawn, and I'm not happy. I don't really like this anymore. Am I playing Rook D1? This was not part of the plan. I totally did not anticipate this. Robert. I don't know what you guys were talking about. Thank you. I'm sorry about the simul text there. Guys, there's no way I'm going to play 14 challenges. He's taking another pawn. That is so greedy, man. Alright. You're just asking for trouble with that move. Big time asking for trouble. Bishop F4. I mean, that at the very least has to be good, no? What's my follow-up? Did I have anything better than Bishop F4? We have a lot of development, raging bishops, but I have yet to see the forced win. I think it's on the horizon. It is on the horizon. What's up, World Loser? Long time no see. Bishop takes b7, you know, it's a kind of like minor threat. Like winning in exchange can actually be pretty dangerous for me in this type of position with a lot of white square weaknesses. That's a move I'm kind of keeping in reserve. If I can follow it up with something really strong, like bishop takes b7 followed by bishop c6, then I'll be much more inclined to go for it, which actually looks like it's on the menu here. So now I think I'm probably just winning by force. Bishop takes b7 with the threat of taking on or playing bishop c6. You know, that's the more important factor here. So Bob had knight g6. I guess that wouldn't have really... Would knight g6 have been a better defense? I mean, he shouldn't have taken this pawn on e5. This is like harikiri. Harikiri. How do you call it? Harikiri. Knight takes e5, self-immolation. And now rook takes d7 is interesting. Or just the simple bishop c6. We're going to get quite a bit of material here. I wondered if he had any other move in that position. I mean, this is the only way that I like bishop takes b7, if it's, you know, connected to some other tactic, like in this case. The smell of success. User successfully ignored. Who did I ignore? Hey, world loser, what's up? Oh, I'm getting like... Am I getting some drop frames? No. Alright. Guys, I want to thank all you guys for joining me. We've got too many challengers to play today. Alright, next subscriber, we've got Clash Kid, who I think is not on the list anymore. So we're going to play Mule Skinner, who just subscribed. Maybe Clash Kid had to go. Thanks for the game, Brundle Philly. And Mule Skinner, I just don't think I can handle another Grand Prix attack, but let's do it, man. I want to improve on our simul game. No drop frames. World Loser, he's our like substitute moderator. He asked to be unmodded before, I think. He just said he couldn't be here enough, so he didn't want to do it, but he still has mod powers. What's up, World Loser? How you been? I know it's probably not the greatest time for you. You haven't been here much since I switched time zones. Troll in a roll, what's that? You got a book from Grandmaster Repertoire, the Grunfeld Defense. Grunfeld is just a great opening. Peter Svidler, model Grunfeld player. There's so many great Grunfeld players, though. It's definitely one of the most popular defenses against d4. I mean, the Slav is actually the most popular, but the Slav is basically kind of boring compared to a dynamic hyper-modern opening like the Grunfeld defense. What's a new commercial? Commercial on the stream, I'm assuming you're talking about castles. Knight takes b5. Here we go. We've just discussed this so many times. I'm going to try to blend in something different here. He was playing d4 for a long time, but I had the same game the other day against a player where I put on my YouTube channel a video. I played here against a CM. FIDE Candidate Master. I'm going to do this sometimes, just create like shorter videos for the YouTube channel and just throw up some blitz, some instructive blitz games and whatnot. Svidler's commentary is obnoxious. You know what? I've never listened to him do commentary in Russian. Maybe he, you know, maybe he comes off differently in Russian than he does in English. Queenie 1. Are you talking about his commentary in English or just like all of his commentary? Queenie 1. I'm curious, Troll. Is there a difference between his English commentary and his like Russian commentary in the way he comes off? Queenie 1. We had an interesting game in this line. And I castled. There was like, how was it? Castles Queen H4. Yeah, that was weird. I'm not sure if I want to allow that same thing to happen that happened in my blitz game. But I don't know. I don't like f5 because f5 it's just like too early. I think I had an insane game where I like castled and played king h8 once. Doesn't seem right. Mule Skinner is well prepared here. I don't know if I played into the same position I had in my YouTube video. It's not that bad for black. The computer says it's like equal. You mean in English? You never heard him speaking Russian? Oh, that's funny. He rarely comments in Russian. I would assume he would do both. He enjoys himself speaking a little too much. Yeah, that's probably true. Actually, he's very good. You know, I mean, I remember 17 years ago when he was young, and he was speaking English very well from a from an early age. I mean, when he was like 20 or I don't know how many years old. Even when he was, say, around 20, he was excellent. Some people just like hearing themselves talk. That's true. Hope I'm not one of them. For me, it's more of a functional thing. I don't do the stream for the love of hearing myself talk. So knight c3 voluntarily retreating. f5 starting to look a little more tempting. He doesn't have f5 without seriously sacrificing a pawn. But I'm not sure what I should do here. e6 kind of softens my position, but I'd assume that e5 would come in at some point. So bishop d7 kind of hanging out, waiting to see which way he's going to go with these pawns. If he goes e5, I'll have like bishop c6 at some point. If he goes f5, I'll probably just take it. He's an Anglophile. He loves cricket and what's... Yeah, he's a big fan of... What was that famous cricket player? Tendulkar? Yeah, that is kind of weird. Alright, he goes to the f5. I'm scared. Should I be? Probably. And this looks a little scary, but I think I have to go into it. It looks more than a little scary. But I'm going for it. So queen h4, e6, bishop g5. That probably wins a piece for white. We got to watch out for that. I was thinking queen h4, knight g4. We just pray. We just start praying at this point to whatever higher being that you believe in. I don't care who or what it is. Just start praying that everything's gonna be all right. That would be my general advice to whoever's playing black in this position. Maurice doesn't count. He doesn't do real commentary. Is the smoothest. I think Maurice concentrates on sounding cool, right? I don't know. Nee, look how many I almost spoke Hungarian. I was like, Nay's Meg. Sparklehorse 92.5, Mule Skinner 9.5. How many games we've played? This has got to be a record. I think that Mule Skinner has actually surpassed our other regular player, Constant Stream, for the most stream games against me. Camel Culture's here. Oh, he's an engine spokesman. What does that mean exactly? People commenting on positions that they don't fully understand. I'm not sure that I'm putting together these comments that are necessarily related. Camel Culture, what do you mean by an engine spokesman? You mean he's selling like chess engines, or you mean like he like calculates variations, or what? I'm terrified. I mean, my knight is sort of hanging out there. He has threats of knight g5. I'm probably getting mated. Knight g5, h6. Pawn takes f5, bishop takes f5, knight g5. That variation concerns me a little bit. Yeah. There is always this bishop d4 check that could save my life in an opportune moment. But he played h3. I wouldn't try what I did here at home, guys. I mean, this doesn't look safe, you know. Now I can take on e4. A kind of asking for it sort of move. I think intuitively I was planning on knight e5. Whatever I do here, it's definitely not very safe. Do I really have to do this? Is there anything better? I mean, I can just go knight f6. Now, wait a minute here. Am I panicking? That's the first question. It looks like I'm panicking a little bit. Why don't I play knight f6? Seriously. Knight f6, knight g5, h6. Knight f6, knight g5, h6. Does look pretty dangerous, doesn't it? I mean, whatever I do is going to be dangerous. Knight e5. Man, I don't know, man. This all looks dangerous to me. I just hope that I'm not getting mated. Knight f6 is more passive. I thought this way I'll give a pawn back, maybe trade off arguably his most dangerous piece. Actually, I could sacrifice in exchange. I don't think that would be a bad idea. In general, though I don't know if I would really have enough compensation for it. Roman Chessmaster, that's not really fair, dude. I mean, 24-30, which is a crappy GM, but the dude basically hasn't played in, like, I mean, what's a crappy GM, you know? I mean, I think anybody who's 2500 is like an average GM. The guy's like, what is he, like 50 something years old? Okay. He's not a strong GM, but he deserved the title. He earned it. Not by a lot, okay? I mean, he made it just barely, like a lot of players. I mean, you know, you could say he's amongst hundreds of grandmasters who are like 24-30. He's not a super GM, dude, but still, he deserves the title. There are no crappy GM. I agree. There are a few, you know, who got the title with some weird rules, like maybe they won some weird zonal tournament. I think that's kind of bogus. But in my opinion, anybody who achieved 2500 and the 3 norms required, which Maurice did, you know, not by a big margin, but he did it. You know, I think they deserve a lot of credit. He's not a super grandmaster, but still, like, you know, a lot of hate for Maurice. Well, you know, maybe he does come off like he's like a super GM or something. I mean, that could be irritating to some people. Let's see. Okay, knight g6. Knight g6, trying to keep the lines closed. Let's see, what else can I do? e6. I like e6. e6, f6. I'm terrified. What's the best way to defend this position? I don't want to just like waste time. The problem is he's going to play like queen h5 if I try to trade queens. Knight g6. I'm not sure that it benefits me in any way. How about like e6, a constructive move? It's no doubt a constructive move to play e6. I mean, it controls the d5 square, threatens to trade queens, and then I could play like queen f6 and just pray for dear life. I am up a pawn temporarily, can afford to give it back. Reminds me of the Trompowsky when I play some lines of the Trompowsky. Okay, I don't like my position, but we're still alive. That's how I would kind of term this. And this is the second time I've played knight h6 recently. I don't think that Mule Skinner should trade queens, if at all possible, to avoid trading queens. I mean, unless he has some really good idea in mind. I don't know which way to take back here. The internet is filled with chess grandmasters. Well, who's the most handsome GM? Simon Williams. Alright, man. This is getting to be a weird conversation. I'm not really like... I mean, I'm not really like, you know... It's not my place to decide who's the most handsome GM, but... I mean, Simon is not, you know... I wouldn't call him beautiful. E takes f5. Alright, e takes f5. I'm probably going to start a war. E takes f5. This is a tough position. I'm wondering if I should snap that knight on f3. You know what? Yeah. That's going to go. And we're going to take here, because a pawn on f6 is going to just totally ruin my life. And we're going to play from this position where it looks like I'm up a kind of crappy pawn. Speaking of crappy grandmasters, which aren't really crappy grandmasters. I played Maurice several times. Maurice was like this player who was on the border between very strong IM and like kind of like weaker GM, you know, and he got the title. I mean, he's either a very, very strong IM or a weaker GM. That's what you are when you're like 2,500, but when you get to like 55, or I don't know how old he is, I mean, 2430 is not that bad. I know a lot of GMs his age who are similar, you know, were like 2,500, but they dropped down a little bit. I think this move that I played is a bad move. I'm getting distracted with this stupid conversation, and now, luckily, Mule Skinner like let me off the hook. First rook e5. I mean, I'm not completely off the hook, but at least I'm not worse anymore. Hello from Iraq. Do you think the Dragon Sicilian is playable 2200, 2400 level? I think it is. I think that it's hard, though. Wouldn't be my choice in terms of practicality. It's such a trendy opening, and like I tend to find like little kids tend to know like a lot of theory, for example. I think it's one of those openings that's it's good, but it's a little too popular, especially with beginners and people like just learning chess. A lot of books written about it. I mean, I think that's where it. Yeah, I mean, it's still playable between 2200 and 2400. It's just hard. I would think it wouldn't be the easiest thing to play for black. Kind of making life difficult for yourself playing the Sicilian Dragon. I played the Accelerated Dragon, which was a little bit easier. He's still taking his time about getting his pawn back. I didn't like my rook move from f8 to e8. I should have gone with the other rook. But ultimately, I don't think either side has a serious advantage here. It's probably just a draw. Wade has a slightly better structure, but should be about equal. Roman Chessmaster says, I never play Sicilian. I love to play against it, though. What do you like? Do you like the dragon? He's asking Keresh. Yeah, this is like now a question about rook endgame. My king is decent. I've got a bad structure. But we'll just go here and play for a draw, I guess. You know, he can play for more with king h2 if he wants to, but I'm content with the draw here. I think if it was a tournament game, I'd still probably give him a draw. I mean, what am I going to do? How am I going to possibly beat anybody in this position? This is a good game. White was much better out of the opening. Let's just take a quick look. We've played many times in this variation. I'm trying to find a new way all the time, and Mule Skinner is a virtual expert. So we're following a game here, Nikolovsky versus Savchenko from 2017. I don't know who that guy is. He's much lower rated than Savchenko, and he lost. But let's see. So White played f5 in both games, and Mule Skinner played knight c3 instead. And I know these players, William Peterson against Jonathan Udidia. Udidia's an IM. Jonathan played f5. Actually, that's kind of like, well, I was afraid of e5. This is how Peterson Udidia went. Yeah, I would think this is a really complex way for black to play. But interesting. But Udidia took on e5. I'm not sure about that. That looks a little bit committal. I don't think I would play that. Interesting, though, possibility. All right. Do we have any other subscribers in the house who have not played Move 11? Move 11, is he in the list? I don't think he's challenging me now. Any other subscribers? Let's try to get some new subscribers today. We got Mule Skinner. Anybody else going to subscribe? Subscribers only stream is going to be coming soon. I'll try to do an extra stream every week, specifically for subscribers. Like to get some input on that, but at the moment I guess we'll go with Slow Adventurer. Mule Skinner, with, you know, he's the expert in this opening. I think he was probably better. I didn't take the analysis too far there because we got a lot of challenges and I wanted to just move on to another game, but I like to play the Accelerated Dragon too. Slow Adventurer. This guy's pretty new to our stream. He doesn't have too many games. Okay, 300. That's something. You can also play the Modern Defense with Bishop G7. In Hungary, we've got a couple Hungarian followers here. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's actually a variation called the Bocconi system. Bishop G7, Knight C3, Queen A5. And I don't know really like where this name came from. Was there a player named Bocconi? I'm not really sure. There must have been a master named Bocconi. I mean, I know it's like a region, something like that, but anyway, we'll go with the main line. Extend the stream so I have no challenges. Go on forever, right? It's a marathon stream. No, extend the stream so I have no challenges. I think it would go on forever, theoretically. You have $2 in your PayPal account. I'll accept a $2 donation, but only if it came from your heart. Knight F6. Slow Adventurer playing the kind of critical Queen takes D4. I've actually played this myself with White 2. I did a video. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, there's a mishmash of stuff like streams that I upload, a lot of independent videos I've done on different topics like Grandmaster games, some opening analysis. One of the openings I did analyze a little bit in one of my videos on YouTube, Video Chess Training, was this line. I was looking at it a bit, and looks like Slow Adventurer is going to play the same variation I was talking about in that line. E5, Knight C6, what? Queen A5, Knight, that's another line for fun. It's another very important line. I mean, there's 3 lines, and they're all equally interesting. You know, so Knight C3, E5, and Bishop B5. Bishop B5 is like the weirdest one. That's Bronstein's move, but also kind of cool. The main 2 moves are E5 and Knight C3. I lost a rapid game to a Mongolian woman, Nomi something or other, who's like 2400. I can't remember how to say her name. She played the other line with E5 against me. But this line I've played for both sides. Okay, now I played Knight G4 once, but it's kind of risky. Actually, I probably played it twice. I might have lost to Marcel Martinez in that too. I played this for both sides, and I played most recently a game. I think I lost a game. Well, even the most recent one was probably against Martinez in like 2004. That was. Here is interesting to sacrifice a pawn, and there's all these different ways to do it. And I'm just not sure like which is the best way. They're literally like 2 or 3 different ways to sacrifice a pawn here. Bishop B5. Whatever. Use curse words and racial slurs. Roman chess master. Curse words and racial slurs. Well, the curse words I don't mind too much, but the racial slurs have got to be zero tolerance for that. We're following what's it called? Kosenseva. One of the Kosenseva sisters played this. Now, I just can't remember the next move, what it's supposed to be. Castles. Is it Rook B8 here? That would allow like Rook. Strange, I mean Rook B8 would allow like Rook D1. I guess I'm supposed to take. Normally they take on D7. This dude's kind of scaring me. I mean, he's... Hey, am I supposed to play Queen D7 in this position? That doesn't seem right, does it? Slow Adventurer. He beat me the first time. In a simul game, he played like God. I hope he's not one of those players who plays perfectly every game. That's a bad sign, usually. Let's see. But I think we're still in book. I'm not really sure about my move bishop takes c6, though. I'm having second thoughts if I'm supposed to play a different move. It's just that I thought he was threatening rook d1 there, so... It's not like there's a lot of theory. Like, there's maybe 1 or 2 games that ever reach this position at the most. So I'm not certain. Not Touch and Tugs. I've heard of that player. No, this is a really, really strong girl who's been training in Hungary for several years. She's over 2,400 FIDE. She's really, really good. Stronger than the one you mentioned. She's been specifically training in Budapest and in Hungary since a couple of years. Slow Adventure seems pretty strong, dude. We should have some compensation in this position. Some compensation. Compensation is here. But he's fast and good, too. A little too fast and a little too good. His rating is like 2024 in Blitz. Which isn't very high. I don't know. Queen c7. I have regrets about almost every move I can play here. Down a pawn. Nomen Erdani, yeah, that's it. Guys, I like the theoretical lines that yield so many wins, if you know it by heart. The dragon is a gold mine. The slight mistake can prove deadly if you don't know the theory, but if you do well. But Karish, I think that's much more true. It's much more true that it can be much more deadly for white than for black. I just, you know, I see so many old masters like try to play the dragon against little kids. And like little kids who are rated like 2050 just like play the white side of the dragon like they're international masters. I mean, it's just a kind of it's a very standard variation that I think is taught very routinely at this point. And so I would, you know, with white, I would really, you know, expect most people to know a lot against the dragon and less against other things. The dragon and the Najdorf in particular, people are best prepared for. And pretty much anything else, they probably have less knowledge. If you play a Sicilian with like e6 or something like that, you know, people are going to have a lot less knowledge about what to do. But not to turn you off to the dragon. It takes a lot of work. I mean, and a lot of memorization. I haven't had much success, but I've only tried playing the dragon on like maybe 2 occasions. I lost to Attila Turzo once. Maybe that's the only time I ever like played the dragon. One time was enough for me. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna lose to a player I consider like slightly weaker than me, like and get slaughtered in the process, maybe I should be playing something else. But it takes time to learn an opening. It really does. This is the yeah, she beat me in that variation, but she knows the theory. She had memorized all the theory. Yeah, this is the move I was concerned about, and I don't know if I have any kind of tactic here, like knight to d5. Knight to d5, unfortunately, queen takes d5. Kind of is a buzzkill. I just end up going into an ending down a pawn there. My plan was actually to play rook c7 in this position, which just loses tempi. I think I have nothing better than to play, I was going to say play e6. I mean, what else can I do? The original plan was actually rook c7 in this position, but it's just like bishop f4 with tempo. I mean, honestly, I would toy around with sacking the exchange, but I'm already down a pawn here, so I don't know that I can afford to sack an exchange, especially if the queens are going to come off. So, I mean, this is a variation where black needs to be very precise. I might have made a mistake on move 12. I mean, he castled, I think, after bishop d7. The Kosin-Sava game went like bishop takes d7, knight takes d7, or bishop takes d7, queen takes d7. I don't recall. I'm not sure if this position has ever been actually played. The white seems to be playing flawlessly. I'm trying to keep some pressure, Benko style pressure on white's position. We don't really want to trade queens here. I actually wish this rook was on a different square. Driving me to the passive square a6 actually benefits white. Maybe I shouldn't have made this retreat. But he was threatening knight e4. I could have played queen f5 actually there, maybe trading queens wouldn't be so bad because I have such Benko style pressure. The Roy Lopez. I didn't know he was a Mets pitcher. Of course, I don't know my Mets pitchers too well. And white is just interesting game. Oh man, just got we're just a pawn down here. We need a knight maneuver. Can we do it? The thing is, like, knight e4 is going to be annoying in a lot of positions. Maybe I can play this. Alright, what else can I do? Can I get away with this? The knight maneuver. He doesn't have any crushing discoveries. And we'll try to get our knight to like an active position. Maybe c5. Slow adventurer. I think he's basically played perfectly so far. I mean, rook e1, rook d1, bishop d2 looks kind of slow, but there's not a lot white can do. He's up a pawn. He just needs to consolidate. In my videos, I was actually talking about this line and talking about possibilities of bishop takes c3, but that was a much different situation where maybe the queens would get traded, and I wouldn't have to worry about getting mated on the dark squares. Broke like the game. What are you guys talking about? Anyway, welcome to everyone to my stream here. Sorry, I can't speak normally. I am Spinal Tap is on because he's busy somewhere else. Number of streams today. Slow Adventure is living up to his slow billing. He's down to a minute. I was getting worried about my position. Bishop f4 looks like a good move. Threatening sometimes knight e4. He's got rook d6. So now, there's no knight e5. I was thinking knight c5, perhaps. That's the most active square my knight can go to. Keeping him off of e4, discouraging knight e4. The idea of knight a4, bishop d6, actually missed this. I missed this entirely. Hopefully it doesn't win by force. He's got increment and 1 minute. That should be plenty of time to take me out. Played like perfectly so far. He's still up a pawn. I don't have enough compensation. But these three pawns are a little bit hard to keep protected. So it's kind of a nuisance situation. He almost has tactics. Bishop e5 looks like a really good move. Really strong move. I feel like I'm just getting killed here. Close to perfect play. Maybe if I fight for the file, now I'm just totally dead. Bishop takes rook d8, dropping a piece. No matter what I do. Maybe f6, weakening my king side a little bit here is interesting. I'm just crushed. I don't think I have much chance in this game. My king side is weakened. I'm down a pawn. White played perfectly. Knight a4, bishop takes. Knight a4, bishop takes, king takes. Knight e4. Basically, I can't defend. Plus has some rook moves that look scary. Rook d6 nearly wins instantly. The Jesus stuff. All right, I think I'm just lost here. You know, white should be able to play perfectly and take me out. Or maybe lose on time. Notice that his rating is like 2024. I mean, I would normally pretty much dominate a player of that rating. I don't see a way to defend f6. Knight c5. He's got queen c3 check as well. So e5, rook d6, that's also crushing. I think I can just resign here. There's basically no way to defend this position. Too many weaknesses. Let's check out the analysis. Perfect play by white. Let's see. Bishop e5 is the best move. Not too many games here. Bishop d7, it's a Kosintseva move. Now, Kosintseva's opponent actually took on c6. Let's see. Yeah, it's more common to castle apparently, so he followed that. And I took on c6. I'm not sure this is the best move. Rook c8 was played. This is what I forgot. Kosintseva played rook c8. This is better than taking on c6. I had the feeling I made a mistake there. But now queen f3, engine number 1 move. Rook e1, e6 best move. Here, bishop d2 is probably number 1 move. I think queen a6 might be a mistake. Maybe I should play like queen f5 and actually go into an ending, or rook fd8. I didn't see rook fd8. I mean, I don't believe I have enough compensation for the pawn here at this point after rook fd8. I can't believe the computer says it's just plus. It's like equal after rook fd8. But queen f5, this move was definitely better. But this guy is like perfect. I mean, how can he be 2000 in blitz? Okay, queen a6, rook fd1, rook ad1, knight d7. This was apparently a blunder, but I already had no confidence in my position. I'm basically a pawn down without enough compensation here. I wasn't happy. But that's like the second almost perfect game by Slow Adventure against me. Alright guys, let's play Lord Jesus Christ. d4. Brundlefield, the guy's 2024 and he plays, he must be lousy in the endgame. I don't think he's lousy at anything. I think we can expect him to win probably every game he plays against me. Knight f3. Report into FIDE. Yeah, report into FIDE for not giving him a title. But I should have played rook c8. It's a slightly better move. But that endgame, it's not fun for black. I defend that position because I want to prove that the variation is defensible for black, but objectively, you're just fighting for a draw. You know, against a player who plays like that, black has to just prove a draw with perfect play, and that's what Kosenseva actually did in that game against Kovalevskaya. She just was able to like draw. I mean, by playing perfectly. Like, that's the best you can get with black in that position. It's a pawn in a blitz game. This isn't over the board, dude. Right. In that position, there's no counterplay. There's no dynamics. It's you got to be perfect. I'm getting mated in that position. I'm like minus 2.5 because I'm getting mated on the king side on f6. I wouldn't resign if I was simply down a pawn, man. It's just a completely lost position against a guy who is literally playing perfectly. You know, what do you think's going to happen? It's like 100% that I'm going to lose this game. There's if I'm just down a pawn and I really have some kind of complication, or I you know, only against Kamsky would I resign in like a tournament game, but that's basically a game you're never going to have a chance, dude. It was like -3. You're just down a piece, dude. Down a piece basically for nothing against a guy who's playing perfectly. We should all conspire to cheat one day and blow my mind. That's a great idea. Yeah, I'll just like quit streaming. It's already bad enough like 1 or 2 people cheat. I get really irritated. Thanks for the game. My blitz was 2475 3 weeks ago. I just slowed down a bit. Started to play blitz with increments. Sure, dude. You went from 2475 to 2000. That's not happening, man. That doesn't happen. People who are 2475, dude, I couldn't beat 2000 if I tried, you know. Unless I berserked like 100 tournaments in a row or something. Yeah, he did the same thing the other day. I don't think so. I really doubt it, you know. We're going to play anyway. You know, I'm not going to make any conclusions about people based on 2 games, but I can suspect people. King h1 is just a useful move in this kind of position. I want to play f4. Oftentimes, like the bishop coming to d4 is a nuisance. No, seriously, I mean, even if I was drunk, like I couldn't stand up, I probably couldn't get my rating under 2200. And I think, you know, that's the case for anybody who's like 2500 or close to 2500 on lichess. You don't fluctuate by like 500 or 400 points. Maybe like a couple hundred. As I said, unless you're like berserking in the arena tournaments. Knight on 6h7. So he's kind of drifting here. Stephen Muhammad lost a very similar game against me. This is a situation where black doesn't really know the system. And like knight f8 is usually a bad sign. Stop Minbra got banned? What? You got a notification. He got banned? lichess didn't give the points back? I could probably get the points back if I wanted to, but I didn't think the guy got banned. I didn't really like check though. I mean, I just suspected the guy cheated against me in 1 game. This is a game from last week where what looked like a legitimate account, the guy did a weird thing. He wanted to play. He was waiting to play. He was like one of the last few players to play in a stream. And maybe the last one, actually. But he played a4 against me, and I really thought, you know what, I'm not in the mood for this nonsense, and it's like a waste of time. So I just aborted the game. And then, you know, and then he complained and was like, oh, I really like studied a4. It's my real opening, and I want to play so bad, and I waited. So I actually like believed the guy and felt sorry for him. And then I like let him play, and he changed his unrated challenge because it was unrated the first time. he changed it to a rated challenge for the second time around, which was like kind of weird, you know. Anyway, how am I going to defend the g4? Okay, the f5 pawn. So he changed his challenge from unrated to rated, and then played me the last game of the stream, and played a very strange, like kind of computer-like and weird game. And I'm pretty sure he was using an engine. But then when I looked at his account, you know, I don't think he cheated in any of his other games. So it felt like he was just cheating to kind of show off against me in this one game. He wasn't a serial cheater. But I don't know. When you get your points back after playing a cheater, what happens if what? You'd won games against that individual. What's that? What happens when you get your points back? What happens if you had won games against an individual? When you get your points back after playing a cheater, what do you mean? What happens? Anyone know? I mean, I guess you can apply to lichess and say, like, I played other games against this player, and I lost some other points. You know, the points aren't that important to me. I didn't report, like, I didn't ask lichess for the points back or anything. Usually they'll give them back, but maybe if if he did get caught as a cheater, I can get my points back. I mean, I don't know. I give people the benefit of the doubt, but if people play like multiple games against me with never making a dubious move, you know, chances are. That was just a really weird situation against that guy. I mean, he's like 1500 in tactics problems, and he played against me like a perfect game. Instantly making like a rook sacrifice that was like devastating. That wasn't that easy to calculate. I like that they give you your points back, though. Your points seem to contribute to your livelihood as a coach and a streamer. Yeah, I mean, that's true. You know, I think that having a higher rating, it kind of increases your streak credibility. And my thing is, I don't want to have like an embarrassing rating. You know, someone was like, Maurice Ashley is he's a weak GM or whatever, you know, because he's 24-30. No, he's probably 24-30 because he like has kids and he stopped playing tournaments, has other responsibilities. He probably could be back to 2500 if he wanted to, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, you've got to have like a decent rating. I don't want to look like a weak player, because there are like weak players who pretend to be like trainers and pretend to know everything about chess. You've got to be aware that in all facets of the world, there are people who are kind of like fakes. So that applies to chess teachers as well. Lord Jesus Christ here with the bishop. The bad bishop, he's got less space. He's got a kind of bad knight, but he's up a pawn. We did a kind of sealer sweeper pawn sacrifice. Yeah, so I want to keep my rating up, but I'm not obsessed with it. You know, I want it to be like kind of reasonable. But I'm not like one of these guys who has to be 2700. I'm not going to like drop names, but I mean, there's certain players who have to make their rating 2700. You know, it's kind of childish. Can you tell us how you structure your lessons? I'm very curious. I mean, I'm actually not a specialist teacher in certain parts of the game. I'm more of a jack of all trades, and it just depends on what people want to learn. So my lessons are totally, individually geared for different players. I don't have specific set lessons that I don't do a spiel. I mean, there are some trainers who have prepared lessons, like Dvoretsky. I mean, he had a lot of prepared lessons, and they were good, and he would diagnose which lessons would really, be useful for you, and I think that approach has its merits. Lord Jesus Christ is going into ultra defensive mode here, and it looks like it's going to be hard to break him down, to be honest. We got the H file. We're going to try to triple on the H file. Is that going to be enough? Feels like we've got enough force. If we get the queen over here into h5, right about now, the funk soul brother. Actually, I have d6 here. Is that a good move, or does that actually like fall into some kind of devious trap where I'm actually setting him up for something? Queen h5 check followed by queen g6 looks very strong, with the idea of rook h7. Queen h5 check, he's defending. No, he's getting mated. Alright, well, we know that Lord Jesus Christ is not a computer. He just lost a piece. Very human mistake. His pieces didn't have enough room to maneuver, but I think he's probably lost here anyway. Best, you know, like best case scenario, what are you going to do? King e8? I think he's going to be lost anyway. We can take a look. And pretty much the same thing would happen like this. Actually, rook h8. Rook h8 doesn't threaten anything immediate, but it is going to threaten something in a minute. Rook h7 would probably work too. He has laterally like e6. So, not a perfect player. Stephen Muhammad actually broke like an eagle. That's an interesting question. Kind of like, yeah, that kind of like Igor Novikov. They disappeared. You know, I mean, you wonder if somebody like died or something, or they just stopped playing chess. It's really hard to say. I don't know what the deal was with Stephen Muhammad. If he just am I gonna miss like a forced mate here? Did Stephen Muhammad quit chess, or did he like die, or did he move away? It's funny, there was a player on the internet chess club I used to play in Blitz who reminded me of Stephen Muhammad because he played the London system. There was this German account, and it would play the London system with white, and it would play the King's Indian with black. And I think that's a really strange combination. I mean, what am I doing here? Why can't I go forward? I clicked the wrong square. So, I mean, I just don't know so many people who religiously play the London system every single game with white and the King's Indian with black, because those two openings are, I think, kind of like polar opposites. You know, like you don't do the London system with white and the King's Indian with black. You know, they're basically anti. One is like ultra simple, the other is like super complicated. I did the Sealer Sweeper Pawn Sacrifice. Highly recommend the book Pawn Power in Chess by Max Uwe. Apparently it wasn't sound, according to the engine. He played g5. So I wanted to see if we get down here to this position, if he could have defended this. We need to let the computer kind of see over the horizon, but I think that white's space advantage is too much. It's very difficult. He played this, g4, bishop f7. I mean, how do you defend this for black? Only way would be like b5. He's got to try b5. Just there's a limited amount he can do there. And then he started to go away. I guess I should have played like rook h7 there. But when he blundered here, queen b7, queen h3 isn't even the best move apparently. I should play this prophylactic b3 or bishop e3, threatening sacrifice on g5. So queen h3, and he played the ultra blunder, helpmate. I thought king f8, queen h5, honestly. But now he has bishop f7. That's a perp on my queen. So this was mistaken. I have to go back to h3. So queen h5 is actually a bad move. This whole plan is a bad plan. I have to play bishop e3. So Lord Jesus Christ, you just kind of capitulated there without needlessly losing. You're clearly worse, but you can defend. You can play rook b8, b5. You're just avoiding all the interesting lines. Am I avoiding the interesting lines? One guy I know plays the King's Gambit and the Mora. Yeah, well, I mean, that's okay. You know, they're both crazy openings. Stephen became very religious. His name was originally Booth. I know. Well, that's why I think it's not impossible that he like disappeared again. You know what I mean? Clash Kid, are you in the challenge list again? Clash Kid is not challenging. Troll in a roll. Chess 960. Guys, we're going to be streaming for about another hour here. Oh, my hand is bleeding. Help. I just scratched my hand. I had a really bad cut on my hand today. Now I'm bleeding. You want to see it. It's really, really nasty. I sliced my hand on a plastic window unexpectedly. D4. Alright, we've got our queen in its normal position. Knight on A8 is not good. So speaking of Stephen Muhammad, if any of you guys are American chess players who knew or heard of him, he was this guy who played, he became an IM late in life, like around in his 40s or late 30s. He was a good blitz player. He was a black guy, one of the strongest African American players in the United States. He was kind of, I don't know, he had kind of a weird personality. I never really had a conversation with him. But apparently I guess he was Muslim or something, because he changed his name from Stephen Booth to Stephen Muhammad at some point. He was originally from California. I'm from the East Coast, so I didn't really know him when he was Stephen Booth. He became Stephen Muhammad. Then he just like disappeared. I mean, he just totally dropped off the map. What's your thoughts about Kasparov on playing? Well, I haven't been following it. What's the latest news? Kasparov is going to play. Is this some Sinkfield tournament? Kasparov likes, you know, he likes billionaires. I think a billionaire can bring Kasparov back into the game. That's about what it would take. Plukro says, I've given up. Yeah, you didn't challenge me, Plukro. Actually, Plukro hasn't been here that long. I didn't really acknowledge him. Our faithful moderator, he's a subscriber too, guys. Thanks to all of you who subscribe. We got a new subscriber today, Mule Skinner, who's a regular. You don't play today, Clash Kid. That's cool. Blitz is not your forte. I'm playing the King's Indian with a knight on A8. I like my rook, but I don't like my knight. I think I'd rather have the normal position. So anyway, the thing about the Stephen Muhammad guy that was always weird for me was how he would play the London system with white, you know. The ultimate, like, lazy opening, and that was when it wasn't trendy. But then he would play the King's Indian with black. It was like he just chose his openings at random and then just stuck with them. Up until, like, the level of international master. I mean, at least play, like, if you're going to play the King's Indian with black, you might as well, like, play the King's Indian attack with black or something consistent. I mean, most King's Indian players actually, like, kind of, like, hate the London system and think it's a stupid opening that I met. Like, 90% of the King's Indian players I know just, like, think that it's just the most harmless sort of boring opening in the world. So why would someone who plays the King's Indian, something so dynamic, play the London system with white? It's just kind of weird. That was what I thought was always strange about Mr. Muhammad. But I lost to him in a King's Indian where I was white. I tried to play the Fianchetto. I lost in a Fianchetto variation. Was a bad choice of opening by me, because he just knew the theory better than me. And once I crushed him, so we took turns crushing each other with white. No, actually, he crushed me. Okay, we had two King's Indians where I was white. Now I understand. I didn't want to play the same variation twice, so I varied the second time. I crushed him with Bishop G5, then I lost in a Fianchetto variation. But anyway, he goes in the list of players who's disappeared. If you know it, you know, if you find Stephen Muhammad or Grandmaster Novikov, let me know, because we all want to know. We all want to know what happens to these people. Legendary World Champion comes out of retirement for inaugural St. Louis Rapid and Blitz event. Now hold on a second. Inaugural? Didn't he play last year in the Rapid and Blitz event? I thought he was going to come back and play real chess. Maybe you're looking at the wrong article, Mule Skinner. He's supposed to be playing real chess. I thought that was the point. He'd already played Blitz and Rapid last year. I mean, that's not a new thing. Or it wouldn't be a new thing. He's chasing the St. Louis money. Playing the London as white and the King's Indian as black would be a fun game to play against yourself. Exactly. Maybe that's what happened. Like, Stephen Muhammad just got stuck for a while on the desert island and played a million games with London system with white, King's Indian as black. That's a theory. I don't know, man. But I was just like, how do you do that? They're such polar opposites as far as openings go. I mean, you could argue that they're both kind of closed games, but stylistically, very different. Troll in a Roll here and I are playing a strange kind of King's Indian. My knight is just weird on b6. If I put it on d7, well, at least it would reinforce my center. And I feel like I'm playing a normal position. It's just not going anywhere from b6, and this is what I need to strengthen my center. Petrosian, strong point. Guys, I'm here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm not bandaging my hand from profuse blood loss. All right, so we've got I'm here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Blitz and classical chess. Also Sundays I do a simul here on lichess. 25 players. We had the Sunday simul. I lost a number of games. It's always a crapshoot. Sometimes it's really rough. Sometimes I do pretty well. Troll in a Roll is like, what, you're playing a normal game, man. But I'll tell you why I don't like Chess 960. I mean, I like Chess 960, but I tell you what I don't like about it. It seems like the games, you know, they're too closed. Always closed. Like, you never get an open game in the Chess 960. I actually prefer open games with tactics and a lot of pieces flying around, and slightly, especially for blitz. I mean, I don't mind playing long games in positional positions, strategic positions with closed structures, but when I'm playing blitz, I want to play like tactically. It's fun, it's open. You know, this blitz for Chess 960 seems really awkward. All right, now we can play c6, but we're kind of weakening ourselves on the wrong side of the board. Our rook is on the wrong square to prepare f5. We could go back classically with like rook f8. But c6 feels like the right move, but he plays... Oh man, do we go c6, c4, b5? That doesn't work. Yeah, I think we're just playing on his side of the board if I do that. Knight h5. I like Troll's position. I think he's better here. c6, c4. I could play c5. I don't think that's beneficial. c6, c4 is a problem. I mean, I'm just opening up his side of the board. Knight h5 is bad for a number of reasons. Probably like bishop f3 is like a draw, first of all. Secondly, well, what is secondly? I can't play f5. And my other options are kind of passive, but here we go. 6 and 8-year-old sons just started to beat their 12 to 14-year-old nephews. See, that's from watching my stream. No, I'm just kidding. Taking credit for Mule Skinner's kids. You don't believe in any easy positional edges, Photon Man. Every time I think I have one, mysteriously slips away after 10 moves. Easy positional edges. Just talking about Chess 960, it's always a closed game. It's always slow for the game to develop. It would probably be fun to play like classical chess, really classical chess with long time controls, Chess 960. But as far as like blitz goes, I mean, Troll in a Roll loses on time every game. I also feel like I'm constantly in time pressure. The positions, like, they don't open up till like move 20 or move 25. It's just hard. I mean, you need a lot of time to play closed strategic positions. So I think that, you know, the initial position in chess is not a random one. I mean, it's been designed for the pieces to mobilize fairly quickly. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I think there's some other streamers streaming, so we probably don't have that many viewers today. But it doesn't matter to me. We're having fun here. Knight c4, knight e8, and I'm getting ready to play f5, but under the right circumstances. This knight on c4, it's a bit weird. A bit exposed. Then again, I have a hard time attacking it. It can bounce back here to e3. I think the white still stands a little bit better. He should really be thinking about playing for f4. He's going to lose on time. There was an omen. The troll in a roll is going to lose on time. So f5, f4, f takes e. Or f5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. That looks like classical chess, doesn't it? f5, Bobby Fischer. Would Fischer approve of this? I'm not so sure, actually. There isn't really any other plan, I'm afraid, for black here. I think we just have to go with the flow. Sometimes you just have to let the position play itself. I thought the troll actually taking first and then doing the standard blockade plan with f4 is a little more reliable. In reality, maybe troll is totally right. I mean, maybe this is completely okay for white. Well, in fact, I'm sure it's completely okay. The question is, which is better? You know, the real question, was it better to play pawn takes pawn, f5, and then f4, or better to do it the way he did it? And I'm just not really sure. Looks like white's better here. Nothing earth-shaking. Is he threatening f5, kind of like my last game? I'd love to trade pieces. I like no way to do it. I have to admit I'm not real thrilled with this position. I'm not happy here. What would Fischer do? I mean, f5 is so strong. I guess I can answer f5 with knight f6 at some point in some positions. I'm not crazy about that either. Taking on f4. Knight takes f4 looks horrifying because of like knight coming to e6. Pawn takes f4, knight takes f4, knight c5 though. I guess I could try it. How am I going to maintain that knight on c5? Am I going to be able to maintain the knight on c5? So if I can't maintain this knight on c5, I've got huge issues with the knight here. Which means I'm probably up the proverbial creek without a paddle here. I mean, I can always give up my bishop on e6 like the Leningrad Dutch or something if I have to. What I can't do is put my knight on d7 ever. We got to be able to take the knight off if it goes to f4. So knight f6, b4, knight e4 looks like the lesser of the evils here. Fighting for control of e4. Look how it's opening up finally. It's moved 16 and the position's starting to open up. You're watching chess videos at the gym, Mule Skinner. Unfortunately, the chessboard inside these videos is too small for that. Should I make the videos, the screen bigger? We're at like maximum here. Okay, troll in a roll just did like a very committal move. He played b4, and obviously this is a major weakness on c3. It can be defended. Knight e6 is guarded by my bishop on c8. He just gave up his bishop. But now he's like toasted on c3. So I think he just lost a pawn for really nebulous compensation. The nebula. Bishop takes c3 or knight takes c3. Or do I have anything else? We better not waste too much time. Bishop takes c3. Huh. Pawn is a pawn, no matter how you capture it, I guess. This just puts an awkward question to white with bishop, and he can't take. He just played knight, super weird, knight c4. The super weird move. Alright, let's try not to lose on time ourselves now. b5. b5, knight a5. That's odd. Alright, whatever. I'm just trying to keep it simple here. Keep it as simple as we can keep it. Queen f6, knight e2. That's a dumb thing to do. Alright. Kind of panicking. I'm actually less time than trolling a roll, which is unusual. It does happen on occasion. Guys, we're streaming till 6:30. He's hanging tough, but he did have to jettison a pawn. And I don't think that he has enough compensation in this position. He has a little bit. I'm a little backward on the file. Keep his king happy. Happy king. With those bishops slicing around. Got nasty threats of bishop h3 in some positions. Yeah, I guess he's got that move. We don't want to see knight g5. Not right now. I think that's what he had in mind. And we were lucky, you know, at the end of the day we're winning here. We're basically a clear pawn up. But it's not over. He's hanging on. He's got some e6 pressure, so good game troll. Okay, any other subscribers? Blue Crow is not in the list. He's not playing today. Yanez at 12. Haven't seen you in a long time. Poppets Meowsy. Okay, Furia is up next. You guys don't have to challenge me to 8+3. Anything between 5+3 and 8+3. So you can play the faster 5+3 if you want. Your cheats didn't work. What kind of cheats did you have in mind? Furia. He's been waiting a while. I know you guys, a lot of you guys aren't going to get to play. Please subscribe. If you subscribe, you get preferential treatment. But I do want to create like an extra stream every week just for subscribers. It's kind of awkward though. We'll probably have to alternate it like on different days because I don't want it to be the same day, you know, every week. Certain players wouldn't be able to take advantage of it. I was thinking of some weird ideas here, guys, just for fun. Just for fun, I want to experiment with something. This is almost never played, and I was thinking the other day, like, trying to think up like new openings to play. You know, like, why can't I just like hang my bishop in the Caro-Kann? You know, this has actually been played in a handful of games. This game just for fun. Let's see how Furia reacts. What? Sack the bishop? You're only okay when everything's closed and nothing is exchanged. But this variation has only been played in. It's not really a variation. I just thought kind of a fun opening for like blitz or something to kind of throw people off. But actually, this position is really easy for white to play, and it's like it's basically a kind of passive. I would call this like a passive Scandinavian. Now, when I looked at it with the computer, which I do, you know, like to do things like check things with the computer to make sure that it's playable. I did note that knight f3 wasn't the move. The engine like bishop d3, and I'm just wondering like why would bishop d3, you know, be worse than knight f3 here? And I'm sure there's nothing special. I should probably just like transpose. This is really passive, but I have to watch out for queen b3 all the time. Basically, I traded my bad bishop for a knight. I mean, I'm not going to do this again. I don't think this is a great position for black. It's very passive. If I do anything else, he's got queen b3 all the time. Queen e4 check, just bishop e2. I didn't see any point in that. What else could I play? Knight d7 interferes with the queen. You know, that's my problem. I mean, maybe I could play here, queen b3, and then knight b6. But that's a very awkward position. So this is playable for black. It's just a little bit passive. I think this is what I had on the board with the engine, just by a different move order. Bishop d3. I mean, you know how these people are playing the Scandinavian with queen d8? That's what we got here, basically, except my queen's on c8 instead of d8. which is probably like an unimprovement. Furia Nuhuha from Portugal. Relatively new account. He's played very straightforward. I like White's position. He's got the two bishops, which I don't think is that devastating, but some advantage. If bishop d3 is the move, how is it not as good with knight f3? I haven't been able to find a reason, man. I don't know. I was just thinking about it. Like, tried to make two moves in a row. I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with knight f3, but I was sitting there thinking, like, why? There had to be a reason why the computer preferred bishop d3 to... There had to be a reason why the computer preferred bishop d3 to knight f3, but I can't really see it. Maybe... No, I don't know. I really don't have an idea. Perhaps I could play something weird like queen... No, I mean, if I ever do queen g6, he's got queen b3. See, my queen needs to be able to come back here and guard that b7 pawn. Look, let's just see for a minute. I've got some extra time. Is there any other move here? Like, I mean, my problem really was queen b3. So, like, knight bd7, queen b3 is awkward to meet. Maybe I could just play queen b3, rook b8, and it's not that bad. Knight bd7, queen b3, rook b8. But anyway, knight bd7, bishop d3, queen e6 check might be... That might be the point. You know, like bishop d3, knight bd7. If queen b3, rook b8, it's not so bad for black. There's always some check that might interfere with white. That's my point, I guess. But I think this position is just slightly better for white. It looks bad. Super Sebbies, can you explain the concept of good and bad bishop? I don't understand why the white bishop is considered to be the bad bishop for black. Yeah, I mean, your bad bishop is basically your, you know, your piece that's, excuse me. The bad bishop is the piece where you've got most of your pawns on the same color. Now, in this case, most of my pawns are on white squares. Most of black's pawns are on black squares. My white square bishop, you know, it's tending to be a piece that's in this sort of structure trapped on like c8. It would be where my queen is right now. And it's very difficult to free it. You know, I have to play like b6, bishop b7, c5, or e5 and bishop out the diagonal. So that's the thing. It's usually a good defensive piece like this. This bishop is a bad bishop, but it's called an active bad bishop. Active bad bishop, it has a lot of mobility despite technically being a bad bishop. Here. Queen c2 is an interesting move. It almost seems like he's trying to set up knight e5 or something. Shouldn't be devastating, but I mean, I actually feel like this position is somewhat similar to something I've played before, the Caro-Kann exchange variation. It basically is like a good Caro-Kann exchange variation here. Except I don't have a pawn on d5. My pawn is, it would be on d5. That would be better for me. I would have a little bit better position, I think, with a solid pawn on d5. Though I wouldn't have this pawn break c5. I'd have a little more control of the center. Here, looks like I might come under some attack. I'm gonna have to be very careful. I wouldn't ever dare to play this in a serious game. I just wanted to throw it out there as something kind of experimental. You know, to just give you guys an idea of, you can create your own ideas. It's hard to find new opening ideas, but, you know, I was just sitting there one day thinking like, well, can we find a new move in the Caro-Kann? Okay, it's not great. Next time we'll find a better idea. This one didn't work out that well. But there's still room for innovation. That's what I'm trying to say. The computer came up with another interesting move. Bishop f5. Knight g3, and it's also not great, but you could retreat the bishop to e6. I thought that might be something to kind of confuse people, but also not like totally correct. Bishop e5 by white. I think that this is much more natural to play knight e5 for white. If I take, you take with the pawn, and my h7 pawn is falling with check. Bishop e5, it's not really a threat, and it's not a terrible move, though. I mean, it's still a good move, bishop e5. I just like knight e5 a little bit better. White is still slightly better. It's hard for me to free myself. Maybe rook d8 or rook e8 and knight f8. I was thinking about g6 actually. If I play g6, I weaken my king side, but you know, once again, I have the dark squared bishop to protect, and he could go postal on me with like h4 here. It's really radical. I don't think it's necessarily the best. He's just going to go back. It's hard for black to get any counterplay in this position. Rook e8. c5. That's my only chance to free my position. And actually my rook notoriously badly placed. I just remembered, you know, because of like bishop b5. This is one of the most famous ways to like lose the exchange in the Caro-Kann or IQP positions. Bishop b5, bishop h6 with a rook on e8. Sometimes get it trapped. Of course there my queen is usually on d8. Maybe my queen position will save me from losing the exchange. You put this guy here. I think intuitively, you know, I thought about rook d8, but I wanted to give both these squares, you know, give these pieces both movement. Monkey pushing wood. Could black start pushing kingside pawns, castle queenside? You could definitely castle queenside in this type of structure in some situations. You know, someone was talking about like John Bartholomew earlier. He's a Scandinavian player. You know, in the normal Scandinavian lines, I think it's fairly usual in many lines to castle queenside in this type of structure. But my version here, I mean, I've got a very, very passive setup, basically. I'm actually thinking about bishop g7 to create a fianchetto and guard against sacrifices on my pawn chain. I think I have about like the most passive type of setup in the structure you could get. Now c5 again is a freeing move, but it's not one I necessarily have to make. I don't have a bad bishop on c8, and I've made this argument before against some players. Constant Change is a regular contributor here in the stream. I've had games where he's played this kind of position against me in the Caro. I think that playing c5 actually improves white's prospects with the two bishops. So it's sometimes very hard to play chess this way, but maybe I have to just do nothing well in this type of position and wait for white to make a mistake. Wait for white to make a mistake. Improve my queen back to some sort of normal mobility. Not make this break. As tempting as it was, it opens up the white squares for white squared bishop. You know, he could come to b5. The endgame also is possibly good for white, because after like c5 and he takes on c5, white has a queenside majority, 3 pawns against 2, which is a very common happening in the Caro-Kann. Okay, so this is okay for me, man. I mean, you're trading pieces. I think that isn't terrible for white, but generally speaking, makes black's position a little bit safer. Less pieces on the board. I expected him to capture with the bishop. He took with the pawn, and my first thought is Alekhine's defense type of thing, like this pawn on e5 might be a weakness, but I think here he's well mobilized. It's got pretty good protection, so he's got a space advantage. Should I play knight d5? Or should I play knight d7 to put pressure on the e5 pawn? It's a pretty major question right here. I mean, knight d5 is a much better square, but it could get kicked by c4. And that's the million-dollar question. I have to watch out for the c4. I could play b5. It's weakening. It's very weakening to play b5. I think white hands down is better here. A serious advantage. Bishop g5 looks like a good move. I was kind of hoping for bishop h6 trading pieces. I did glance at this. A5 is interesting to give my knight the b4 square. Maybe we'll go with that. Bouncing in there. Through b4, through a6, and back to c5. If he weakens himself with c4. Could be like a good dark square sort of blockade. White is still in command here. He's got a very, very solid position. I mean, I could also just grab space, developing my rook from its initial square. So he's debating whether to play c4. It's sort of a double-edged move. No more 960s today. Yeah, there's definitely one more 960. Somebody else wants to challenge me. h4. He's going to kill me. He's going to try to kill me. Alright, first of all, let's improve the queen. Try to tie him down to this pawn here. And connect my rooks. So we slightly improved our position. I think black's pretty much on the verge of being okay. After this kind of dubious opening, I was almost clearly worse. And the computer probably would have hacked me apart. If you had played the opening I played against a precise engine, I would have probably lost in like 20 moves. But against a human, you know, even a master human, it's not that easy to refute black in this kind of solid structure. It has to be very, very precise. So the average 2000 player, you know, he's not going to be able to like blow me away. After this, again, like kind of dubious opening, white has it. He still has a slight advantage, but not much. He finally played c4, but I think it's risky. I mean, he's got now very, very big weaknesses on the dark squares, and this pawn is hanging. My knight is safe. It's never going to get lost. You know, it's going back to a6. Now his bishop is attacked, and this pawn is attacked twice. c4 was a hasty move. I think it was a mistake here. He could even get pinned fatally on the open file. Right now I can play rook d8. Bishop takes d8, rook takes d8, and we're just better. Think outside the box. Okay, this is a combative move. I figure take, and then queen f4. When we're threatening knight takes d3. I may have missed something better. Threatening a lot of stuff. Rook takes d3 would be pretty devastating. No, rook takes d3 doesn't work. Never mind. What does work? It wins back the exchange. You know, so white ended up like getting a little overextended. He's still alive though, unfortunately. He's a little too alive here. More alive than I had hoped. We won a pawn. We're threatening a second and a third. He does have some counterplay. With queen d7, queen e7 should neutralize most of his play. So he went to b3. We've got rook on the 7th. That looks illegal to go here. Really wanted to go there. Just not happening at the moment. Okay, I take a pawn, you take a pawn, I take a pawn. That looks okay. We're up 2 pawns. 2 pawns are better than 1. He should probably take on b7, at least break up my structure. Take, check, check. Okay. I guess we'll try to consolidate here. He has a little bit of compensation. If he was only down 1 pawn, I think that white would be okay, because of the open file, giving him a lot of play. But he's down 2 pawns. No, he's, yeah, 2 pawns down. It's too hard. Okay, next game. We have any other subscribers who are challenging at the moment? Any new subscribers? I don't know if I missed something better in that game. Soltigo, who took me out, he's a really committed regular here to the stream. Blue Crow, what's bishop f4, monkey pushing wood? It's risky. How come you came up with the name Sparkle Horse? Sparkle Horse was the name of a band who was basically just one guy, Mark Linkous, with the help of some other people. Tragically committed suicide. I really liked his music, and I just felt inspired to make it kind of a tribute. But it's just my handle here on lichess. It's not like, you know, my name for life. Knight f3 d5. And Soltigo, I like a lot of King's Indian attacks. I used to play c4, but I've lately become more and more of the opinion that like c4 d4 just equalizes for black on the spot. It's actually more interesting to go into a King's Indian attack. Bleen chick. What does that mean? What is a bleen chick? What is a... I won't even say it. Soltigo is copying the other game we played earlier today. If he plays e6 here, it's transposition. Guys, thanks for just... What was I going to say? Thanks for dreaming? Thanks for joining the stream today. Oh, it's food. That's weird. That's why I almost like failed college, because I didn't remember my Russian. Alright, Queen d7. Yeah, Soltigo, this is interesting. He's playing a known line, but like with colors reversed. So what's the deal? Unclear. You know, I think that knight e5 is like the normal move when the colors are reversed. But I think it's kind of weird, you know. It's kind of weird to trade that bad Chigorin knight off. But you've got to admit, I mean, it gives me a lot of play with my bishop on g2, you know, and his knight is forced to some kind of weird path. There's a game with this position, like colors reversed. I remember Satovsky. It's like Satovsky-Kasparov. But that's like Kasparov playing a position where he would have a tempo less than me, and they drew. I have the Satovsky-Kasparov game like with an extra move. I just have a, you know, inclination here, you know, to the fact that probably black's okay. I have the feeling black's probably okay here. That this position isn't really dangerous for black. Maybe in fact this is one of the best ways he can play this line. What else should I do? You know, I feel regretful that I played knight e5. The question is, can I play c4? That's the interesting question there. Would c4 work? I bet it does. I bet that I'm supposed to play c4, and I'm an idiot for not playing c4. Instead, I went into this simplifying line. Oh, man. Alright. Well, f3 would be interesting and complicated. Let's do it. I like that. Let's do it before he has time to play bishop c5 check. This is going to be a really weird game. I mean, the safe move is knight d2, which is basically equality. Like knight takes d2, takes d2. f3 is very combative, and it's going to lead to complications, which is not clear who these complications favor. Very dynamic. I mean, the pawn structure is now imbalanced. Vodka, blinchik, and ikra. Ikra. Like games? What is ikra? It's not some kind of vegetable, is it? I don't remember. It's got to be like vegetable, sex, or some kind of sleep or something. Something very, very formative, very essential to life. What are we doing here? It's a fish egg, but that's... Okay, that's in English, though. Alright, I wasn't sure it was like caviar in Russian. I thought it was like, okay, English. Wow, vodka. That's cool. But he like categorized it other than food, you know. He had food and ikra separately. That threw me off, you know. I thought it was a food that would have been included in the blinchik category. So I think that's not fair. It's not fair, you know, that I don't get credit for my answer. Okay, Soltigo with the Funkadelic Knight on c5. Let's develop a piece, shall we? I'm a little nervous about like Knight a4 type of things. I have to be honest. I feel like he's actually got a space advantage because of the pawn on d5. Knight a4 is seriously awkward. Queen c1, rook b1. What am I going to play? He's playing like Sutovsky. Here in Spain, we celebrate the winners. Beautiful women alongside winners in each category. What are you talking about? What are you talking about categories? What are you talking about, Neil Skinner? I must have missed something. I took Russian in college. That's what I'm talking about. It was a big mistake. I wasted a lot of time. I didn't really learn it. I almost like didn't graduate. I could have just learned Spanish, which I already knew anyway. And it would have been like much easier. But I like to make my life more difficult than it needs to be. This has been a kind of ongoing theme. I never do things the easy way. You pasted the Russian spelling of ikra and was warned. Anyway. Quiet move with the bishop e7. Unexpected quiet move. I'm on high alert because of Knight a4. I'm afraid this position is going to be like just better for black. c3. Actually, not that different from my last game in a way. The same passive piece deployment. Queen on c1, c3. I'm seeing some similarities there. Soltigo seems to be getting stronger. He took me out in the simul the other day for the first time. Now I'm actually worried about a blitz game. Okay, this is passive, but it's like a useful prophylaxis. I mean, I might want to play e4 at some point. It does block my rook for whatever that's worth, but we want to have d4 hitting me with tempo. Maybe I can hit him with f4, e4 with 2 moves in a row at some point. I don't think we're going to be playing e4. I just don't really like my game. Hungarian is a bit more complicated than Russian. It may be. I'm equally hopeless at both. No, obviously I speak Hungarian now. It took me forever to start to learn it though. f6, breaking on the king side. That seems highly provocative. Damn. Wait a minute now. Alright, I've got to take. He can't take back with the bishop. I guess he's going to castle queenside. I kind of feel like good about that though. That pawn, although it was a strong pawn in the center, it was a kind of isolated, feeling like an isolated, overextended pawn. Knight b3. I can actually play e4. e4 going for it. Trying to open the position. Leave me with a really crap structure. I don't think that e4 can be better than equality for white here. If I'm not careful, he's going to castle queenside, launch the h-pawn, and like have a better position or something. Not really sure what to do. c4. Kind of like c4. It's a dynamic move. It's dangerous. It's like calling out to me to play it. I don't think I would have dared to have done this if he hadn't done like f6, but now I feel like c4 is calling my name. I'm a wing pawn. Trade me toward the center. We've got the rook coming over. If he dares castle queenside, I'm serious, man. I'm gonna get you first. It's not a joke. If you try to castle queenside, I will get you. That reminds me of something. Some TV show I saw. Queen h5 may be the end. Queen h5. b4. Yeah, b4 is so anti-positional, but it could just destroy black at some moment. b4 very weakening, obviously. He played a super solid move. However, you know, where is he going to castle now? I mean, either way he castles his king is going to be a little sketchy. e4 still lame. Yeah, I like this. I like the c6 move. Probably a good idea. Now he doesn't have knight a4 anymore. Let's develop another piece. He's got a minute more than me. Guys, we have time for at least one more game after this. Nirikaza. Szabolcs, Szatmár, Bereg. Knight a6, I like it. I like the direction you're going here. I like saying words like Nirikaza. It sounds cool. I enjoy Hungarian. It's kind of fun once you start to be able to kind of talk a little bit normally. Okay, what are you up to with knight a6? I don't know what to do, and I'm running out of time. I feel like I've got a little initiative going on. Nothing special. I could play e4. But I don't like this, you know, like his bishop coming in there. Maybe I take and play e4. Take on d5. Which way does he take back? It's a big question. That's the answer. We got the C file. We're just picking up little advantages here and there. It's $1 million move now. Pawn takes pawn f4. Could we do it? That would be genialisch. Another Hungarian word. If I can do f4 there. Wow, he doesn't care. He played bishop g6. Weird. Weird. Alright, we're just opening it up now. Queen takes. Wow. He's after material. Looks like he's after material. Is he after my a2 pawn? Gotta believe my king is safer than black's king here. My last move, though, I could have played queen a4 check. Would it have been better to play this first? He played queen b5, the classic queen b5. It's always a good move in like the Sicilian and stuff like that. Even an ending here is just monstrous for white. This looks like an excellent endgame. If I trade queens, I think Edmar Mednis would be happy. We'd minimize risk while maintaining a clear advantage. Right? Hopefully. Hopefully. But not necessarily. We're going to have to go really hard. Yeah, he found it, man. The one move that's annoying. The one stinking move that really just bothers me. Oh, that's so annoying. Bishop takes b7. Bishop c6 check. That's so lame. So lame and materialistic. Damn, dude. Knight b4, you found that? He's gonna beat me again? Soltigo. Man, I don't know, man. You're getting too strong. You took me out last game, and now it's like on the verge of beating me again. Rook d8 I didn't expect. He's going full on crazy. I thought he would just play Rook b8 there. Knight d5. Well, it's kind of a weird move in a way. I guess I'm gonna have to take it. Okay, golden rule. When facing... Oh, do I have a check? Is that good? And I hope he doesn't have some kind of ridiculous tactics. Golden rule when facing bishop pair, you know, try to eliminate one of them. Bishop takes a7 or anything capturing a7 would be like obscenely materialistic for white here. I think you're just getting yourself, probably getting yourself in trouble, but trading pieces if I can do it. It looks good. I don't think he should have played rook d5 though. Rook b8 would have maybe saved the tempo. I mean, he got his rook to a good square, I admit, but it still was on a good square on b8. And if I had to play something like bishop c6 check, knight takes, rook takes, it would have been... The position would have been actually quite similar to the one we've got here now. Now, which way should I take back? Knight takes was really tempting to take the other way. Probably a better move. Not necessarily, though. This is hanging. He can't play king d8. I have knight takes e6 check. Knight takes e6 is really awkward. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, man. Oh, no. He just blundered in my time pressure. This is something you guys have to watch out for. Getting nervous in the other player's time pressure. I look like I'm nervous, but on the inside, I'm like a steel trap, you know? And I've noticed that with a lot of players, like who are physically nervous. They tend to show it. Alexander Ivanov is like, he looks like he's hyperventilating and having like a panic attack. But inside, he's like super calm. They just externalize their anxiety. I think I look kind of nervous when I'm in time pressure, but in reality, I feel pretty calm. But a lot of people panic, you know, when they're in the opponent's time pressure. Here after rook e8, I mean, I have no idea what's going on. It looks like Soltigo's actually got some counterplay. I mean, I don't think this is so easy. I was seriously thinking about the computer's move f5, because there is this knight g7 idea. f5 is best. And it looks like rook takes f5, rook takes f5, bishop takes f5, and knight g7, and then rook c8 or something. Yeah, this actually probably is just a win for white. I lost an endgame just similar to this to Atzel Gergo. It's maybe drawable. I don't know. This is a little better version than my game with Atzel Gergo. Had like one more pawn on the board, probably. This is pretty unpleasant, but I think that this could be drawable for black. You're a clear pawn down with a worse structure. The bishop's a better piece. White has two rook pawns that look like difficult to convert to win. Interesting. What's up, dude? Please challenge me next. Daniel likes streaming. He's currently streaming. He's promoting his stream in my game. That's cool. All right, guys. One more game against NH9, NH1. Unless we have a subscriber who's challenged me. Kasparov looks suicidal a lot of the time. Yeah, you probably look the opposite to what you really are. He's probably really happy when he looks suicidal. But don't ever do what, you know, my opponent did. Okay, it wasn't an easy position, but he has a minute on the clock and blundered. There's still drawing chances there if he plays the right move. NH9, NH1, bishop f4. God, I hate the London system. I have two setups. I play G6 and E6. E6 is my more solid option. Guys, this is the last game for today. We'll be back on Wednesday playing more Blitz and Classical Chess 8+3. Please subscribe to the channel. We got a new subscriber today, Mule Skinner. You rock, buddy. He's also, I think, the leader in cheers. Alright, B6. Queen's Indian setup. I think this is maybe the most solid black answer to the London system. But G6 is a good way to play for a win instead of E6. Pretty standard stuff here. Bishop E7, castles. We'll play C5 at some point. I think C5 is interesting though. Like, you don't have to play C5 unless white's really threatening to play E4. You can hold off one more move. It's like white's setup is very similar to like the Kali system, except his bishop's outside the punching. There, actually, I could have played knight h5. I just realized I did this in a recent game. Here on my stream. I think the exact same position. Yeah, I should have played knight h5. Oh man, Ace. There was a guy Ace in my simul stream a couple weeks ago. We played knight h5 against him. Usually white plays h3 to prevent that. Now knight h5 here, slightly different, but still probably good. So we'll get the dark squared bishop, and that gives us a solid, safe position. You're only on Twitch to watch me. What's a cheer? That video of Kasparov versus Carlsen in Iceland. Anyway, I was talking about nervous players being really calm inside. You know, outwardly nervous players. You know, the nerves have to go somewhere. If they don't go to your, you know, don't go to your brain, and they're being exerted like your physical nervousness or something. Walter Brown was like one of the best blitz players I ever knew, and he always seemed like he was having like a conniption when he was playing. He was like freaking out and like moving around. It was actually really difficult to play against him. Next to Lembit Ol, I think Walter Brown was probably the second most difficult player I had to sit across the board from. He was like moving and shaking and vibrating, and it was just really tough. I decided to play c5. We've got you know, a position where he can probably play e4. We could play this different ways. I could also play d5. I could play f5, kind of Dutch style. Alright guys, last game for today. Thank you for subscribing, Mule Skinner. Guys, also check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Here we try to play a kind of hedgehog formation, where basically I'm not committing my central pawns. I don't like playing d5 in these kind of positions. I mean, first of all, because I'm blocking my own bishop, but also you know, you don't leave yourself a lot of flexibility in terms of like your pawn structure. So I like to keep maximum flexibility. The joys of internet chess, it's harder for them to intimidate you. You make your living from Twitch, said the Yellow Dragon. Absolutely not, sir. I would be homeless if I was making my living from Twitch. We just really, we just started like getting subscriptions here on Twitch. I make my living by teaching chess at the moment. I used to be a poker player for about the better part of 10 years, but that's kind of dried up, and I decided to come back to chess, playing a lot of online poker for the duration of like probably like 2008 until 2015. I really wasn't playing chess much at all, actually. So just the last 2 years I've really come back to playing chess and started streaming here on Twitch. d6, and there's the center. And we can take on d4, but I don't see any reason why we have to take on d4 just yet. Kind of a tough question where to put my knight now. Typically, like, it's more active on c6, but it's blocking my bishop on that square. So it's sort of tricky. I would feel like it's more active, but I think we're going to go with like a classic hedgehog formation. These pawns, like a spiny porcupine, will go along all on the 6th rank. In this situation, nh9, nh1 has given up his dark squared bishop, so we can always feel like, okay, the dark squares are hard for him to attack. Hey guys, sorry for my many comments today. I'm celebrating the draw with a couple of Spanish beers. That's awesome. He's celebrating the draw. He used to draw me on a regular basis. I guess it's been a while. Okay. I guess, Muleskinner, you went through a bad period where you haven't scored on me in a while. Pawn takes pawn. I have to admit, trying pretty hard against Muleskinner. For a while, he was getting to be kind of a difficult opponent for me. There was a period when he had a pretty good scorer going. Not great, but... And another thing about Muleskinner is that he's really tough. Although he's got a massive minus against me overall, his games and his score don't really indicate how tough he's played me. He's lost on time a lot. He's lost a lot of good positions, a lot of drawn positions. He really fights very hard. And I think he deserves a higher score than he's gotten out of the 100 or so games that we've played. It feels like he's got a lot more than, I don't know, 10% or something. And Blue Crow didn't play today. When you manage to draw an IM, I celebrate too. nh9, nh1 blundered. He lost a piece. I think that's going to do it. He's also going to be forced, you know, to trade queens here, which is a pretty big problem when you're down a piece. We got queen d5 and our bishop on b7, so we're lucky. He just played e5 recklessly, not really thinking about what I can do, but he was looking for prospects for himself. But chess is, you know, it's only half the game, really, you know, looking for tactics for yourself. I think that I'm kind of a specialist in thinking defensively, prophylaxis, and making sure that, you know, my opponent can't do anything. Inspired by Karpov, the former world champion before Garry Kasparov, kind of like the greatest modern exponent of the style where you prevent everything. It's like a boa constrictor kind of style, where you first prevent everything and then you start to strangle your opponent. And that's the kind of my main style. I mean, I do play other styles at times, but I think I lean toward this safety first approach. But here, if we go back, white played e5. This position, white is probably equal. It's similar to my game with Keith Erdekel from the beginning of the stream, where he's given up his dark squared bishop. He has some space in the center, but that actually doesn't count for that much. It's probably equal for white if he's careful here. But then he played e5. I mean, even if this move doesn't lose tactically, you know, it's really, really bad. I think he can play pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn here, actually, and he doesn't lose anything. No. So this was just a major tactical oversight. I still don't like e5 though, because it creates a kind of weak pawn on e5. But it looks playable. He could have taken back with the pawn, and maybe he's still equal because he can trade pieces with like bishop e4. And white should actually be trying to consciously trade this bishop, because if you're facing the bishop pair, the best thing you can do is probably eliminate it from the board. Greeting, friends. You're just in time to see the end of the stream. Yeah, we're just going to take off, guys. We're going to be back on Wednesday. And 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday and Friday, I do Blitz and Classical streams. And then on Sunday, a simul against 25 players at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Interesting games today. I think we lost one to an opponent who seems to play perfectly. That's my excuse always, you know. Everyone I lose to is a computer. And every time I lose, there's something wrong with me, like I'm sick or I was having a bad day. The dog ate my homework. But we had some interesting games. I mean, Mule Skinner's game, he was better. I mean, this was... I have a new idea, though. Maybe I'll try Yedidya's F5 next time, Mule Skinner. Because John is a player I know. He's also from New England. I'm not originally, but he lived here in Boston. He was a really bright guy. All right. Rook C2 resigns. That was a piece down, so there's nothing you can do. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining today. Please subscribe to the Twitch stream. I want to thank Mule Skinner for subscribing again for the 17th time today. I want to thank you guys already in advance for checking out my YouTube videos, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Just subscribe and like over there. It's free. Also, share my YouTube videos. I'm going to try to do some more like quick blitz and instructional like live play videos. I did one on Friday where I just played a game and talked about it in depth. Probably I'll do some more of those and add one or two this week. And otherwise, I will see you guys Wednesday. Enjoy the blitz games today, and sorry for those of you that didn't get to play today. We will see you Wednesday again. So Blue Crow, thanks for joining us. He's our moderator, one of the few brave moderators willing to do my stream. But I love you guys. We'll be back on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great one. Bye-bye.